Hi everybody, time for another midweek chat. There's open water over here. I don't know why. It's warmer, but I mean, it's been so cold. Maybe there's a spring. You know where I am? I was gonna be somewhere else. I thought there might be a good spot at the skate park by Lakeside School. Is it called Lakeshore? Lakeshore School, maybe? And it's such a beautiful day. I wanted to be near the water with blue sky. We haven't had a blue sky in a long time. So I think briefly yesterday morning or the morning before, and then I went inside for like 30 minutes and it was fully overcast again. But anyway, so it's beautiful to see the sun out. Can you see there's a guy ice fishing out there? I can't tell. I'll just get out of the way just in case. There's like a little orange thermos next to him and he's fishing. Could be Father Greg. He likes to ice fish. A few things. First, before I forget, I always mean to mention this more in the bulletin and in this chat. If there's just a lot of scams out there that use my name, and a lot of use Father Close's name, use Father Krasinski's name, use Father Boren's name. It's like, I don't know, they know that a lot of people love their priests and would do anything for them if they ask. And so these, it's never my real email or my real phone number, but people get texts and emails from me basically asking for gift cards, asking for money. And anyway, I showed up at the school today, Catholic Schools Week, and I was talking to Mrs. Havener, our principal. And she said, "Oh, you're here already." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, you said you wanted to meet." And I said, "Well, what do you mean? I just got an email from you." And I said, "I didn't send any emails to you today." And then she showed it to me, and it was from like pastors online. It was a made-up email address. But they apparently know that I'm a pastor of St. James, so then they look up if they can get any emails from anybody that works at St. James or that's volunteers or a pastoral council, finance council. Then they'll get a spammy email from me. And anyway, it happens all the time. And I've only heard of one person so far that bought these gift cards and sent the numbers to somebody. And I'm not going to mention her name. She's a good-hearted person. And I felt bad that she got scammed that way. But it doesn't count against you on your journey to heaven, that's for sure, when you think you're helping out somebody that needs it. But man, I saw the beekeeper the other day. Violent move. So if you don't like violence, which I guess is all of us, who likes it? I don't know. But I wanted to see it. Maybe I'll preach about it at Good Friday. I don't know. It's a major release movie right now, and it's about this like special ops guy who's retired, and his neighbor kind of takes him in, lets him live. I missed the first 5 minutes. I was late to the film, but I don't think I missed too much. But I got there, and he said to his friend, older woman, "I've never had anybody take care of me before. Thank you." You know, so I think she let him use her land, and he raised bees. But he's just like a covert operations superhero. I forget his actor's name, but and then she gets scammed. I got there for the whole scam. She logs onto her computer. It comes up, alert, and your hard drive is going to be destroyed. Call this number. And she calls it, and basically her life savings, plus she was the treasurer for a nonprofit that helped children and vulnerable children, like over $2 million, and it all got wiped out because she was following the instructions of the guy on the phone. And then she took her own life. And so this guy saw that, and he made it his mission to get to the bottom of this, or actually get to the top of it. Who was benefiting from this? Why were people hurting the weak and vulnerable, taking all their money? And I don't think that's a spoiler. That's all in the first 5 minutes. I knew all that going in from looking at coming attractions, so don't get mad. But then there's just, it just wreaks vengeance on everybody going up. And I wanted to see it because I think when I was watching the coming attractions, and a little to some extent when I was watching the movie, you want them to open a can and destroy all these people, And righteous vengeance, redemptive violence. And Jesus is like the opposite of that. And so I kind of wanted to see how I felt watching all this redemptive violence going on, and contrast that with Jesus, who would rather accept being executed than to call out his armies and execute others. It's just very central to my understanding of Jesus, that he was nonviolent. He was love. And could get angry, could stand up for the weak and poor, that's for sure. But he wouldn't kill. And so it was interesting. I don't know if you'd want to see that film or not, but other stuff. But don't get scammed. Don't, if you got an email from me, I'll never ask you for money on an email or a text. Speaking of though, you could get we brought up today, there's just a heck of a lot of requests lately for money, and just at church. And I know that you and people who've responded, been cheerful givers. I don't think they felt oppressed, but we've had people give gifts to the youth service trip in the summer. So appreciated. Some to the Jackie and Chuck are going to Puerto Rico, to our sister parish, San Jose and Luquillo, Puerto Rico, February 11th and 29th. They'll be there, and they have to buy like supplies to help. So I guess the main church is doing pretty well. Got devastated by the hurricane. That's how we got involved with them in the first place, Hurricane Maria. And when was that, 17? I can't remember. And they have these satellite parishes now, and they're trying to make those better places for people to be and to worship and have mass on the weekends. And I imagine some weekdays too. Anyway, so they need to buy supplies, so they would take any donations before they go on February 11th. They'd also, if I think there were like 4 groups, Jackie and Chuck have been like solid every year going that they can, and there were going to be 3 other groups and people, I forget all what happened, but they were all unable to go at the last minute sort of, and so now it's just those 2. But if anybody's like, hey, heck, we could go somewhere in that February 11th to 29th range, you'd have to eventually arrange your own flights and lodging, but Jackie can help you figure out how to do that. So it'd be great if we could get someone else to go. Blood drive. Ann said we're really short on blood drive, and the need is great. We're having a blood drive 2 days before Ash Wednesday, so February 12th, Lincoln's birthday. I don't think we know about Lincoln's birthday anymore, because it's always just President's Day. They merged Lincoln and Washington, right? Wasn't always Lincoln was the 12th and Washington was the 22nd of February. So anyway, on the 12th, there's going to be a Red Cross blood drive. You can sign up through the parish or through the Red Cross. You can always just go to the Red Cross and give blood too. I wanted to mention, I just saw this story I thought was pretty cool. Christine's so cultured, she recognized this right away. I couldn't believe it. I left it sitting in the copy machine. So it's a painting, and it was just discovered. It hadn't been seen since 1925, apparently. And anyway, Christine walks by. She goes, "Oh, who copied the Klimt?" So Gustav Klimt painted this in around 1920 or so, and it's called Fräulein Lieser. And she was a daughter of a wealthy industrialist from Vienna who was Jewish. And they said they haven't tracked it down if there's proof or not, but there's an act called the Washington Act, and any art that was confiscated by the Nazis needs to be returned. Can't be held. It needs to be returned to the families from whom it was taken. So anyway, they could track its history back to 1950, but no one saw it. But after they found it again, they tracked it back to 1950. So they don't know what happened really during World War II. But just on the likely chance that it was stolen, I don't know. And I'd like to know more about it. The article didn't say if the Lieser family escaped the Holocaust, or if they were murdered in the Holocaust, or not. But they tracked down the descendants of this family, and they're going to give the proceeds of the auction to them, which they anticipate being about $54 million. So, I was just saying, I don't know if you saw the PBS program a while ago, but it was about America's role in World War II and the Holocaust. And it's not like we supported it, but there's always that question, like, I guess people knew about it, and why didn't we, we're bombing everything else, why didn't we bomb the death camps? So that was one issue. And the other issue was not so much FDR, but in the State Department, there's just a lot of proof that there were pretty anti-Jewish people in the U.S. Department of State. And they really said they didn't let Jews immigrate into the U.S. Some, but could have been much, much more. Whenever there was an effort, hey, Jews are being killed in Europe, let's open the borders to give them asylum. That was always met with resistance in the U.S. State Department. Powerful people. So that was very sad to learn that. Anyway, so maybe a little bit of justice with returning this piece of art, right? It's like last week, didn't I have that Marc Chagall painting of the man praying? Okay, back to stuff. I got a bunch of stuff. So maybe let's get rid of the parish news first. Talk a little about the hospital situation and our possible church reordering. I was here, by the way, like a half hour ago, and I was all set, and then I didn't have my papers. I'm like, oh, today I need my papers. There's all this stuff. Getting a new piano. So Jeremy Neff has a piano shop on Water Street that's going out of business, and we need a new piano because the one we have is literally being held together with super glue right now, I guess. And that was a great find that we got when we got it some years ago, and cheap from a church, but it just lived its life, and it's kind of on the edge. So I'm sorry that Neff Pianos is liquidating. They're going out of business. I'm not sure if that's by choice or business wasn't good, but Nick and Barb went over there, and they got a good deal on a new grand piano. So, and they said there were 4 that could have been good serviceable possibilities, and the one that both he and Barb plunked on for just like 5 notes, they said this is the one we need at St. James. So that's good. We'll see that this weekend, I believe. Maybe not. Best laid plans. So we're having a video series starting the Saturday before Ash Wednesday. So what is that, the 10th maybe of February? Anyway, it's the Saturday morning from 10 till 2, and apparently it's a little more involved than I thought. I thought just people want to come, we'll watch this video, have some small group discussions, and it certainly is that. But there's also handouts, and there's some preparation that has to be done. So we'll plan for people to come that maybe haven't responded, but if you know you want to be part of this, if you let one of us know, Christine will make enough handouts, because it's a pretty ordered program. It's 7 2-hour sessions. So that's something if you're thinking, hey, I want to just maybe it could be social. Maybe I want to get to know people a little better, but I just want to take this Lent to do something with others that will maybe deepen my faith in Jesus and in the Eucharist. I'll be experiencing it with you. So I didn't witness the program. I don't give it 5-star rating. I don't know, but it's we looked at it, thought, well, let's do this. Maybe someone will certainly benefit from it. So there's that. This Saturday, and I did a lousy job because I made a typo first time when I was talking about it on the chat, and so I gave the wrong date and everything. We're going to do a parish movie night this Saturday, and it might just be me. So if it is, then I'll go back to the rectory because I've seen it already. But I thought it was just really good, and it's not for kids, unfortunately, but it's like they rated like 15 years and older. It was called The Holdovers, and it's basically about this prep school out east, and the holdovers are the kids that have nowhere to go for Christmas break, and this professor that stays with them, and the head cook, and they help each other through life and some difficult circumstances in their lives, I think. And I thought it was very good. So I thought, well, let's have parish movie night. We haven't had it in a long time, assuming my phone or iPad works to stream it. Okay. Video series. Okay, we're clipping right along here. April 5th. Okay, I'll talk about it at the high school or the hospital when I talk about hospitals. It's Catholic Schools Week. They're playing bingo this afternoon at 2. On Friday, the Regis varsity teams are coming over, girls and boys basketball, and there's going to be a challenge match with our 5th grade students against the high school students in our gym, which is our Rourke Hall that has these great 6-foot hoops. It's a lot of fun. I mentioned this before, but sometimes, I think sometimes people check out St. James School and they like it. And by the way, Mrs. Havener said we're getting some nice numbers signing up for next year. I think she said the visitors come and they catch the spirit of the teachers, which is so positive. And she was understating her own self. She's very positive, go-getter, and starting a 4K next year. And she had some nice news to report about that. But I think sometimes people are checking out the school, and despite the great faculty and spirit of the place, they'll say, "Oh, you don't have a gym." Well, IC has a gym, and Altoona has a gym. But the 3 highest scorers in Regis High School basketball history, boys, all went to St. James. So there. Whoops, the wind's blowing a little bit here. The wind might be shifting. It's beautiful here, isn't it? But I still can't see where that ice fisherman is. I think he's kind of behind my head, isn't he? So I'm sorry. I meant to point it so you could see the ice fisherman during the chat. So I went to a Regis boys game. I should be going to more. I didn't get him in my calendar until last week. Hope to go to a girls game on Thursday, tomorrow. We got Tyler out there, Gailing. He's on the team, and he's the only one I recognize from the parish. But man, those guys, they got beat pretty soundly by Thorpe, but they hustled, man. They were playing hard until the last 20 seconds when it was just over. But they lost by about 15, 20 points. And man, I was impressed. They really just played very hard when the chances of them winning were like 0. So that was great. Girls tomorrow, and then I want to go to the doghouse and see my old team Menominee coming to the doghouse, Eau Claire North. And I want to meet from when I left there. So they're 17 now. I left 10 years ago. So when I left there, this little kid who was about like 6 or 7 years old, he's now one of their starters, one of the greats. Brock. No, not Brock. That's Brody. So anyway, I hope to meet his parents and enjoy that game Thursday night. Okay, talk a little bit about, so this weekend we will have, it'll look different. We're going to have a makeshift altar. This is just, there's kind of a plan, and we want to get feedback. We want to see what it feels like to people. So there's 2 things going on. There's it's not ideal to have the choir in the sanctuary, up by the altar. I like them to be in front of people, but on the what do you call it, the nave, the main floor of the church. And so where are they going to go? There's no room there. So it's serviceable. It works. But as choirs grow and as the instruments multiply, it gets kind of crammed in that little corner of the sanctuary. So it'd be nice, they thought, if we could get a space, remove some pews on the far end of where they are now, and have that music ministry happen from there. So that's a possibility. We talked about that. That was presented as an option. I forget what happened, why that was resisted 9 years ago, but it's continued to be a thing. Plus our choir that goes up to the loft, they'd like to be more accessible. They're excited about the idea of having that choir down on the main floor. Mrs. Santine, who is on board with all that, and she's the director. And so there's that. And the other thing that's been talked about for a while is this great distance that we have between the pews and the main altar. Could we lessen that by having another altar in front of it, like in the sanctuary? And maybe we could do those at the same time. So it's a proposal. The committees have looked at it. They like the proposal. We need parish support, though, to do something like that. So that's why for this next 2 weekends, we're going to have kind of a makeshift altar and see if people respond to that positively or not. And and then we'll do that for 2 weekends. And then the following weekend, after each Mass, we'll have kind of a listening session, feedback time. Okay? So that's what's going on with that. It shouldn't be like a brand new idea if you kind of been following parish news over the years, but still, anyway, it's not a done deal. I think the way it was announced at one of the Masses last week, it sounded like this is what we're doing, this is why, and not at that stage yet. Okay, hospital, Prevea, closings. I had a lot of, I think, really helpful to me conversations after the Masses last weekend with employees, doctors, nurses, occupational therapists, some were patients, and just really feeling the frustration and the sadness and lost opportunities, wishing market forces were different, different discussions about why this had happened. So just to catch up in case you don't know, so major landmark, major healthcare provider in Eau Claire, Cigar Hospital is closing. So is St. Joseph Hospital in Chippewa Falls, so are the Prevea healthcare clinics in the area. We had, well, I should maybe read right now. So Father Krasinski and Father Parish, they're the deans, kind of the head clergy guys of the Eau Claire and Chippewa Falls area. They drafted a letter, and we'll have it available for people to read. People are like, are you guys going to respond to this or not? And it's really a nice letter, and I'll just read parts of it. Our hearts go out to those employed by HSHS. That's the company based in Springfield that owns those hospital sisters of hospital sisters health services, maybe. Our hearts go out to those employed by HSHS, Prevea Health, and Ellie Phillips, that's alcoholism treatment place, as their lives and families will be greatly impacted. We reverence your raw emotions of fear, anger, grief, and uncertainty regarding your professional and personal future. We also send our prayers to the thousands whose health care will be disrupted. We've heard many in our community comment on the excellent, compassionate care they have received over the years. We are truly grateful for all those who for nearly 140 years have worked in the HSHS healthcare ministries in the Chippewa Valley. The many hospital sisters, administrators, physicians, nurses, and staff dedicated their careers to Catholic healthcare. They served our community generously and professionally. It is impossible to recount the many lives touched and healed through these hospitals. That's just like a third of the letter. So it's a good letter. I hope you get to take a look at it. And so yesterday, the area clergy were invited to have a meeting up in Chippewa Falls with I think her name was Director of Mission for the Hospital Sisters of Health Services. And she's, a lovely person, and not like the Chief Executive Officer, but part of the leadership team. So very well aware of the sad story that ended so abruptly with the announcement 9 days ago that these hospitals would be closing and the clinics. And I don't know, she said a few things. She said, for sure, I want you to know this was a last resort. They're a not-for-profit agency. It's not like they were, trying to make more money. They're there to serve. They have lots of different hospitals in Illinois and Wisconsin. And they came here when they were needed, when no one else was. And there's just huge deficits, millions and millions of dollars. And she talked about how over the last 5 years or so, they pumped millions and millions of dollars in trying to get partnering with Prevea, making improvements to the buildings, putting the connections, rehab on the top floors of the hospital. Just a lot of things they thought they were just hoping would make it maybe more attractive to a buyer or maybe help it get more settled financially. And it just wasn't enough. And I think at one point she said, in order to save the whole system that we have in both states, we had to sacrifice this one because it just was too much of a bleed of funds, the loss. And a lot of it's local market forces, and the healthcare industry as it is here in the Chippewa Valley. I had a little phrase in the bulletin column I wrote too. I mean, I think one of the things Sacred Heart Hospital was known for was taking care of people that couldn't pay. And I don't know how it works with other hospitals. I don't know. Things that they were like specialized in that they did, like mental health care, psychiatric care. A lot of those folks don't have much money, and the Medicaid reimbursement, I suppose, is low. I'm speaking with some ignorance, but I know that a lot of the folks they cared for weren't able to pay a lot, as for other sort of procedures and the insured. So it's a lot of kind of a systemic thing that makes me frustrated too about healthcare in our country. But I think there's particular pressures in our area. They serve so well people that couldn't pay so well, and that's one of the reasons. And one of the reasons, not the whole thing. They had a great tradition of serving the poor in our community. And then, which was really interesting, and I said, "Is this all stuff we can talk about, or is this confidential?" And she said a couple things, maybe confidential, but she said basically, you know what you need to tell your people. But I don't think there's really a villain in this in terms of HSHS, certainly not the diocese. That bishop's involved in such that it's a Catholic institution, so we always had to know about it. So they knew about it. So one of the hardships was the abruptness of it all. That it was so abrupt, and couldn't have been gradual. Couldn't we have known sooner? And I think her answer to that was, if you do that, it's for patient care. Patient care goes down. People know it's going to close, then they'll start looking for other jobs right away. It destabilizes the healthcare itself, and so you're jeopardizing people's health. And so, as abrupt and painful it was to kind of hear it the way it was, she said that was the thinking. I think there's some acknowledgement that it could have been for the employees. They could have known a day in advance or a week in advance. Would have been okay, because that was, some people didn't. A lot of people found out on the news. So, yeah, there's regret there. And then the other thing was just that they tried really hard to partner with somebody. They put it on the national market. Anybody want to or buy this, a buyer, or to partner with us in some way, just to keep it going. And on this whole national search, there were 2 healthcare companies that were interested, and then it went down to 1, and they negotiated for just a long time, hours and hours trying to do it. And then apparently last fall, it got to the point where they even said, "We don't even want any money for this. We would like it to continue. You can have it. You can have the endowment that goes with it." And even then, after the other party considered, they said no, which just goes to show you what a liability, or what dire negative financial position the HSHS facilities in the Chippewa Valley we're in. So just wanted to share some of that, and that I learned that I thought was enlightening to me. So where are we at? 28 minutes already. So I mentioned on April 5th there was going to be a mass at St. James. There is, but you can't come. I thought it was. And another priest who's very involved in this, he heard it the same way I did. He thought it was for the community. Well, that April 5th mass is just for the employees of HSHS and the hospitals. And the bishop hopes to come and to be with them. And this woman who was here from Springfield, she'll come back. And I will be in Massachusetts, so I won't be here. But so that's not a public mass on April 5th. There will be one, a public mass to acknowledge with gratitude the service over the last almost 140 years of the hospital sisters. And there's some talk too about having a service to grieve. And I'll let you know as those things happen. Okay, so let us be attentive to others' joy and happiness, as well as their pain and the grief that they experience, so that we may go forward together along the way of God's kingdom. That's one of my favorite quotes from a Eucharistic prayer that I like, that we say often. So God bless you, everybody. I'll give you a look at the scene here. Bye-bye.